up you guys, this is Rob from the Guy Plays, and today on the Snapshot we can finally unload in peace when we take a look at the Baza. Now, you can pick up the Baza's blueprints in the Tenno Library of your Clan Dojo, but only once you've completed the appropriate research. Also, be aware that this does require a Mastery Rank 7 to craft. However, if you can't wait to get your hands on a little bit of private time, you can always pick this up in the market pre-built along with the weapon slot and catalyst for 240 plat. Also, be aware that you can pick this up in the Baza collection alongside the Cassowar and the Syrinx armor set for 435, so definitely check that out if you're interested. Now, the Baza is a fully automatic submachine gun with a built-in silencer. It has extremely high accuracy, fast fire rate, fast reload speed, and an oversized maximum ammo capacity. Now, while its status chance and base damage is on the lower end of the spectrum, its 26% critical chance jumps all the way up to 65 with a max point strike, and its even heftier critical multiplier of 2.8 shoots up to 6.2 with only a max vital sense, allowing it to deal much more damage than its initial stats would imply. And as for the build, this one is actually fairly simple. Aside from the standard base and critical mods, we've got a nice selection that synergize well with each other. Now, the star of the show, of course, is Hunter's Munition, because it has a 30% chance to inflict a slash proc anytime you crit with a weapon. Now, of course, the Baza has a fairly high critical chance and a nice chunky critical multiplier. Now, of course, to kind of encourage all of that critical goodness, we've got Argon Scope equipped as well, and that will actually boost up your critical chance for every headshot you get, which pairs well with the fact that the Baza actually has a very high accuracy. That's 80. 80 on a hit scan weapon is pretty gosh darn good. Now, we've got slash procs and we've got critical chance. Of course, we're going to go ahead and toss in a little bit of viral to kind of half enemies' health and let those slash procs whittle the enemy down. Now, I do want to point out a couple things right now. Argon Scope is probably the thing that I would go ahead and replace if you wanted to maybe slot in some shred, or if you wanted to go ahead and put in a ribbon. My soul, literally, I'm going to tell you right now, is seeking a Baza ribbon. I'm like, oh my god, if we could just get a good roll with maybe some critical chance, critical damage, something along those lines to replace Argon Scope, that would make my life amazing. Maybe some base damage or multi-shot as well. You know, all the good stuff. All the good stuff. So let's go ahead and take a look at the way that this current build performs. Alrighty, and another Billy gives his life for the sake of testing. Now, one of the things that I want to point out that I feel like is a massive feature of the weapon is the fact that this thing has, like, basically no recoil whatsoever. Like, it just does not freaking budge, so your reticule stays pretty much where you're shooting at all points in time, which gives you that pinpoint accuracy, and that is definitely one of the things I'm loving. One of the things I'm not loving so much is the magazine size. The magazine size, I feel like, is a little bit small and does force you to reload fairly frequently. However, a part of me kind of doesn't really want to fight it, mainly because of the fact that the reload speed is fairly fast. I think it's like a 1 point something for the reload speed, and you know, even if you don't necessarily have the biggest magazine in the world, this does kind of give you a little bit of control and almost encourages you to stop shooting for a second so that those slash procs can come in and save the day when it comes to dealing damage, instead of kind of losing out on a lot of ammo economy. Because you know what, if you got those slash procs doing damage, maybe you can lay off your bullets just a little bit, because you impart so many of them with the way that this mod setup goes, that it's like you don't need to constantly be shooting. I mean, I'm sure if I kind of like chill back for a little bit, you can kind of let those slash procs do a... Actually, it was literally one clip. If I just let it go, it would have taken care of the whole thing completely, which is pretty gosh darn amazing. So, all in all, I'm actually a big fan of the Baza. I'm absolutely drooling over its freaking accuracy. I mean, legitimately, that is probably my favorite feature on this weapon, as opposed to the silencer bit, which I'm still not quite picking up on, because legitimately, I don't know, there's just some things that don't work out in my brain mechanically for why they chose a submachine gun to have a silencer on it, but we'll chat more about that in the gameplay. However, I did want to point out the fact that I like that it has a fast reload speed, because we don't really talk about kind of like the magazine size in comparison to the fire rate, because I feel like its magazine size is a little bit small as compared to how fast it fires. I think you can only fire this for like about 2.5 seconds at its base fire rate, which a part of me is like, that's really fast. You're going to be reloading this thing fairly often. However, you know, it does give you a little bit of a break and does kind of remind you to let the Hunter's Munition kind of go off on this and shred through the enemies a little bit, instead of necessarily kind of just going full on in, because I tend to overshoot. So maybe that's like a little bit of a blessing in disguise. In addition to that, the model is absolutely fantastic, and I would highly suggest that you guys pick this up. So that about does it for the facts and figures. If you want to join me for a little bit more of a chat about how I don't really think that this works with silence weapons, I mean, I don't quite get all of that, and the fact that I'm looking at DE sideways for the fact that they released this right after Hunter's munition drops, go ahead and join me for the gameplay coming up right about now. Alright, so I don't want to hear any foolishness when I make this next statement, because you guys already caught the fact that I was using this with Avara, so y'all saw the fact that it did not break her prowl, so be understanding of that. However, my question is there really much of any other use for this, other than the fact that maybe Loki in my stealth build won't necessarily have to use Hushed Invisibility on his build and kind of frees up a slot? Because aside from that, I kind of feel like there's not much of a use for the silence portion of this. I mean, if we take a look at the way that SMGs work, literally they're supposed to be kind of like weapons that ping at enemies, you know what I mean? They're not like one-hit kills. They tend to be like, you know, they tend to wear down enemies with a multitude of shots, which is why you kind of see on higher value targets, right? That it's all about those slash procs, like bypassing the armor and kind of eating away at them, as opposed to necessarily just like one big shot that takes them out. Now see, if I would have understood if they went ahead and put this on kind of like a high-powered pistol that can take down enemies in single target, like a semi-automatic pistol or a semi-automatic rifle with a lot of stopping power. However, this is it just kind of pings away at the enemies, and a part of me is like, well listen, if you don't kill them in the first shot, literally they're aware of your presence, and number one, that kills, of course, that kills the stealth affinity multiplier, so that's not, you know, that can't be what DE was looking for, you know. Oh, this is the stealth weapon that you can use to build up your stealth focus farming, but that's really not what I feel like this is used for in any way, shape, or form, to be completely honest with you. What I am getting from this weapon is the fact that, you know, it's kind of like you can stealth around and, you know, maybe you can plink off one or two without necessarily being seen straight out of the gate, you know, pick them off from the back of the pack. But, I mean, let's be real, as soon as an enemy sees a dead body, they're alerted. They're like, I know someone's here. And of course, you know what I mean, as soon as one enemy is alerted, like I was saying earlier, if you don't insta-kill an enemy, you know, the rest of the people are there alerted too. So I don't think that the benefit of like any kind of like stealth multiplier really applies to this weapon, unless you're doing really, really low level content. So part of me is just like, did they just make this for Avara? Because I really feel like they went into very specific, so like, well, Avara can use this. And I'm like, and she won't break stealth, and she won't have to waste like a mod on her weapon, or she won't have to waste a mod on her build. Well, actually, it's just a mod on her weapon, because Loki would be a mod on his build for the Hushed Invisibility. So I guess it works for that case, but legitimately, aside from that, I don't really quite grasp it, if I'm going to be honest with you. However, speaking of specific cases, can we talk about how well this works with Hunter's Munition? And literally, Hunter's Munition was just like, it's like DE planned this. Like, I don't know where the stealth part came from, where it was like, ooh, this is a good thing to add in, but Hunter's Munition, releasing this out of after Hunter's Munition, was like somebody was thinking real good. I was like, damn, this thing is fucking badass with Hunter's Munition. And the fact that you can kind of like just tap enemies and kind of like let slash procs kind of eat away at higher value targets, kind of like the way that you guys saw it work with the last bombard that we took on. Legitimately, all I had to do is empty one clip in there, and it kind of saved me a little bit of, what is it called? It saved me a little bit of ammo economy, because legitimately the one complaint I do have about this weapon is it tends to not have the best ammo economy when you go into some of the higher levels, and that tends to be true for a lot of the fully automatic rifles. You know, they tend to eat through ammo a little too much, but I'm thinking that Hunter's Munition will kind of like set that off a little bit and help with it, because of the fact that we do have all those splash box kind of like coming in and eating away at any targets that, you know, just won't die. So it's kind of nice in that aspect. And I was just like, okay, well maybe DE is just getting into really specific things for specific weapons or whatnot, because Hunter's Munition pairs really well with like one frame, maybe two frames. But aside from that, I'm like, okay, well what else do you got? What else do you got going on? Ooh, we got a lot of them going right now. This is one of those parts where I was like, man, you know, it'd be fantastic right about now, a Riven mod with maybe some more critical chance and maybe some punch through. Oh my god. The thing about the Baza is, a part of me is very much like, ooh, like there's so many different there's so many different ribbons that you could put on this to make this good. As long as it's got a little bit of critical chance to make up for the loss of Argon scope, it'll be good. So I'm kind of sitting here like, I cannot wait. But a part of me is like, maybe I'll wait a little bit longer, you know, when we don't necessarily have the insane high prices in the market like we do right now. Ooh, no laser. Nobody told me about the laser. Holy shit, keep that away from me, please. Regardless, I do have to say that I'm quite fond of the speciality of this weapon. Fuck off, nullifier. I am quite fond of it, and I really like the look of it. Oh my god, can you picture a Baza Prime? I know I'm getting ahead of myself. The fact that, you know, this is just released, but dude, a Baza Prime would be pretty gosh darn sick with maybe they don't even buff the critical chance, maybe they just buff the critical multiplier to all hell. I would be down for that. That would be pretty freaking impressive. But right now all I can hope for is like a critical ribbon for it. And I know that the ribbon, what is it called? The ribbon affinity? The ribbon disposition, there you go. The ribbon disposition for this isn't necessarily high, it's actually sitting at neutral. But the fact that you can kind of customize it a little bit, you're like, alright, well, I want punch through and critical chance. That would make me very, very happy. It increases, you know, it increases ammo efficiency, and it, like, lets you pack a little bit more of a punch, makes up for the loss of Argon scope, and helps you kind of flesh out the crits from Hunter's Munition a little bit better, which I'm definitely down for. That's definitely something that I think is going to be fantastic on this weapon. I'm a big fan of it so far. I really like it, and it has a good feel to it. It kind of does remind me of like a little bit like playing Tracer, because of the fact that you're reloading so often. I mean, it's not necessarily a positive, because reloading often isn't bad. Does feel kind of like a little bit, it takes you out of the action just a little bit. But you know what? I will happily give that up because of the fact that it does have that fast reload speed. And it tells me, slow down, buddy. Slow down. Don't go too crazy with all of your shooty shoots. Because I don't know about you, but definitely one of the things that tends to happen to me is the fact that I guess you would call it like shoot happy, and I tend to overshoot on dead bodies and all of that kind of stuff. So part of me is like, alright, this is like my signal to stop, to let it go. Regardless, I'm extremely excited to try to get my hands on a ribbon for this, but in its current state, it already performs really, really well, even against higher level targets. So that's definitely a big thumbs up for me. And the fact that it's pretty definitely doesn't help. Definitely doesn't work against it in any way, shape, or form. So now I'm curious, let me know how you guys are feeling about the Baza. Are you guys having fun with it? Have you guys played around with any other maybe Warframe synergies that kind of make use of that stealth component a little bit better, or the silence component a little bit better? Regardless, that about does it for me for now. Leave all of your feelings in the comments below, and as always, love somebody, hurt nobody, and touch your body silently. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye!